Hi, Shane.
Hola, mi amor.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Good. What's that look?
No, look, it's just my face.
It was the look. Remember from Star Trek, the old one from '68, where in the it was an episode, but
Mm-hmm.
when it would show the play the music at the end, and there was that one alien and had those eyes, he was looking at the camera. That's the look you were giving.
That's the look I gave.
Yeah,
No,
okay. Star Trek alien look. Yeah.
I was just, tired of looking at the camera and having to be the ugly one on this,
Oh,
broadcast. Trish, look
you're
at you,
too kind.
looking
You're
like a
too kind.
radiant Nubian queen
Oh
every time we
yeah.
get on camera.
Okay. Thank you. Checks in the mail.
Bet.
It may not clear,
That's funny.
but it's in the mail. Okay, who are we?
Man, who are we? We are two live recruiters. We are two seasoned corporate veterans who are here to pass along the wisdom we receive from the lessons learned in hopes that you don't make the same mistakes that we made. And if you do, you can laugh while you're doing it. And
Yes.
that's who we are. What are we talking about this week, Trish?
Um, well, this is something that came up. I was talking to a person that I know from way back when I
Mhm.
first got starting into pharmaceutical recruiting, someone I admire, and he's been at a VP of sales level, and he brought up ageism. He said he
Mm.
thought that some of his interviews were felt a little cringy on that topic. So I thought, you know what? That's what we need to talk about because
Yes.
you're not, you're young, you're a spring chicken, but I'm of a certain age. I know it's hard to believe,
I'm of a certain age myself.
but oh, shut up. Um, and I think it's like the elephant in the room.
Yeah. Do you want, I guess companies need to either train better on how to conduct interviews because no one should even get a whiff of ageism or any isms while they're interviewing at all.
Yep,
That's a
absolutely.
problem.
So I'll summarize ageism in 7 bullets. It's a form of obviously discrimination that occurs when people are treated unfairly because of their age, and it's age period. It
Hmm.
can go either.
Both ways. Yeah.
And you know what?
Young
I'm
people get it too.
I've probably been guilty of not thinking someone was too young, but like how I say, "Oh, you're so young," or you know what I mean. I say
Hmm.
things like joking around, but yeah, I don't mean anything by it, but it's not it's my intent, it's how other people feel. So you have to be better. It can occur in various ways, such as recruitment, hiring, training, promotion, retirement. Um, Older workers may face negative stereotypes and assumptions about their abilities, like my son. He's an ageist. My 17-year-old is an ageist. I was telling him about Chat GPT, about how our pastor had used it. I told you this already.
Hmm.
And he said to me, and I said, I was going to tell you, Jackson. He said, if you know, he said, you're old. If you know, everybody knows. I'm like, that's not
Right.
very nice. He says that all the time. That oh, that's not very nice. Um, let's see. So let's see. Includes so they make jokes about or stereotypes or assumptions, including being seen as less productive, less adaptable, and less tech savvy than younger workers. It can lead to older workers being excluded from opportunities for career development and advancement, as well as being paid less than their younger counterparts.
Mm. Yeah.
That's interesting. I guess it
That's
depends on
interesting.
the
Yeah,
industry.
I would never think that the more experienced person would get paid less.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
seems
That's because we
interesting.
don't
That's
think that way.
yeah.
Um, Older workers may also experience bullying, harassment, or ostracism from colleagues or superiors due to their age.
Mm.
That's interesting. I
I'm thinking
remember,
it feels like maybe a older scorned person may have written this article
you think?
because it's usually the old heads at the office that's talking trash about the young folks that's just coming in. From my experience, I don't really
Well,
see too many
yeah,
old
because
heads in the office getting bullied by the younger persons.
well, yeah, bullying is that's weird. I mean, I would even say unless we're talking tech, where people are super young. Like when I worked at headhunter.net, which is now Career Builder, um, I was a salesperson. I was ancient compared. They were a bunch of kids. The dude who wrote the code, the founder, the founder was getting his basement remodeled. His contractor brought his 15-year-old kid, who's his phenom, And he ended up writing the code for headhunter.net. And then when I worked with him, he was 18. I remember I said something about Betty Ford Clinic. He's like, "Who's Betty Ford?" I was like, "Who's Betty Ford?" Like the President Ford's, I'm going on. And he's like, "Oh, I'm only 18." I was like, I wasn't alive when Lincoln was president, but I know who Mary Todd Lincoln is. So like, what are you talking about?
I'm only
So
18. Those are
I'm only 18. Like,
ancient facts you're talking about.
right. So, and all my peers, all my colleagues, they were all young. And guess what? I'm like my son Jay. I'm as old as the youngest person in the room. So we're going out doing shots of Jägermeister. I'm there. So I'm 30 and you're 20? No, or 21, 22? No worries. No
We
worries.
good.
Let's see. Ageism can affect younger workers who face discrimination due to their perceived lack of experience or be passed over for jobs in favor of older workers. Um, Overall, it can have a negative impact on employee morale, productivity, retention, as well as contribute to overall age-related wealth gap and income equality.
Mm.
What do you think of that?
I think that the wealth gap is a lot deeper conversation.
Yeah.
Ageism,
Yeah.
yeah, you can't.
Like wealth gap.
Wealth
Hmm.
gap, no. The wealth gap has very little to do with age, and I think much more to do with culture.
Yeah.
Because if we really dive into the wealth gap, we can talk about what do POCs get paid
Right.
versus their non-POC counterparts, and what
Exactly.
about that wealth gap versus their experience and whatnot. Because with ageism, if you want to call that, the younger employees, even if they may come in at a lower salary,
Mm-hmm.
they more than likely, especially if they're non-POC, are going to get great opportunities into management, greater jumps in their career, and that whatever gap may have existed is going to close very quickly.
Right.
Just due to the fact that there's going to be more interpersonal interactions with leadership, because leadership is probably going to look the way they look, and then there's going to be more affinity to promote, and therefore gaps are going to close or whatnot. So I think you may have a bigger issue with persons not wanting to be hired because of their certain age, but I don't know if that creates a wealth gap either, because you've acquired wealth up to that point in your career.
Right. And
um,
do you
yeah,
just ride
usually when
onto the
persons of a
sunset?
certain when persons of a certain age and they start a new job, it's because I've seen many times, I'm sure of you, where they've retired from one job and they want to start something else. These
Yeah.
persons aren't like coming into this job broke.
Right.
They're retired in pension from some other company that they did 20 years with, and then they're
Yep.
starting a new career someplace else. So, or they're coming out the military, 20 years in the military,
Mm-hmm.
coming in with the pension from there as well.
Yeah, they're
So
not new. Yeah, there's not like someone who just graduated with nothing. They're
exactly.
most likely have you, like you said, have retired. I know quite a few people like that. There's somebody right now that I work with who retired and came back to help out. And
Yep.
now she is retiring. She's seriously going, she's like, I'm taking a break now. Unless they need me again. I'm like, okay,
Exactly. I
well,
know several executives who quote unquote retire, but then they
mhm.
come back to the same company as a consultant
And make
and
big bucks,
bust
no
them. Yeah,
whammies.
they bust them in the head. Bust them in the
I
head.
remember
Like,
years ago, there was a guy who quit. This was at UCB. He was the national sales director in their neuro division. And he quit and came back as a consultant at like $500 an hour. And this was over 10 years ago. Big bucks, no whammies. Like,
now, yeah, now I wonder if this article thinks about that. Now, what about all the older persons who are consultants at these companies? Because when we
mhm,
see these consultants come in, they're usually persons who are of a certain age, who have experience in industry,
right,
and they are banking money.
right.
They are raking it in. While the younger, you rarely see a young consultant come into a
No,
company
right.
at all. It's always usually older persons come back as a consultant to these organizations and absolutely killing it. But I mean, we definitely have seen it though, where when you're just talking about straight interviews, where
Hmm.
persons do face, you know, of a certain age, they may face weird questions during their interview, like,
Hmm.
how long do you plan to stay with the company before you retire? Like,
That
or,
is insane. Right. Well, that's
you
a good
know,
segue. So, this is how to respond to ageism during the interview process.
mhm,
So, number one, it says highlight your experience and skills instead of focusing on your age.
Exactly.
Emphasize your qualifications and accomplishments. Talk about your experience and skills. What about them make you a strong candidate for the position, and give specific examples and demonstrate your expertise. So,
Yeah, most definitely. I would definitely not talk about the year in which you accomplished these things or the year in which the example happened. I'm like, oh, back in 86 when I ran into a situation. No, you don't want to cause unnecessary bias yourself. You can just keep it general, like, oh, there was one time at an organization where I ran into such and such a thing or whatever, don't say, when I graduated in 53, like you don't want to use that. Just be like, just keep all references to years out of your conversation. Just keep
right.
it like that, examples of
General.
how your skills translate into the job.
I remember when I first got into recruiting, when I first moved here to Atlanta, and I was doing technical recruiting. So it was like internet networking companies, software company, companies like that. So I recruited a lot of young people and placed a lot of young people. And I had this a gentleman, and he was older, but he was a good salesperson. But I talked to him about, because things were changing. It was early 2000s, and I prepped him on how to interview, and it was my client, and I called my client to get feedback, and he said he came into the interview and I told him, make sure you take something to write with, something to write on, maybe have some questions already lined up. He didn't write one thing down and didn't have one question.
Don't do that.
And another thing that happened back then was I had a buddy of mine who actually introduced me to my husband, Dana Smith, and he interviewed he came from telecom. So, that's pretty straight laced. Nowadays everything's kind of changed, but suit, tie, dress, put your best foot forward. And he went to interview with this company in Philly, and they were like, and meanwhile, Dana is he's one of the most fun people you will ever meet, but he's professional.
Yeah.
They're like, he showed up in a suit and tie. I was like, it's an interview. Like, he should show up in a suit and tie, but they had gone so far to the left early.
There was already
thought,
on the Google
was like,
wave.
You have no idea how much fun he is. I was
already on that Google wave. Yeah. Google really created a lot of ripples in the industry in the beginning, because they were very casual and everyone was like, oh.
And this was like 99. This was 2000. Yeah.
But folks were still requiring men to be completely clean shaven and buttoned up every day at work. Yeah. So if a company was going left, they wanted to go super left.
Right.
Back then. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Let's see. Reframe the question. If the interviewer asks a question that feels ageist, try to reframe it in a way that focuses on your abilities rather than your age. For example, if asked about your ability to work with younger colleagues, you could respond by saying you have experience collaborating with people from diverse backgrounds and age groups. Who would ask, can you work with young people? Would somebody ask that question?
Somebody who thinks, there may be managers who feel that their team is really young. And so when they're interviewing somebody, they were like, oh, well, can this person translate over to dealing with my younger team? Which is, they got to learn how to work that question better. You want to ask that question in a much more general manner. Like,
right.
Give me examples of working with persons of different, cultural or, demographic backgrounds than yourself, and how successful was that?
Or give me an example where you had to collaborate to get something done, and what did you do? You know what I mean? Because we're not all the same. No matter.
We are not monolithic.
Yeah, no, not at all. Our number 4 is address the issue head on. If you feel the interviewer is making assumptions based on your age, don't be afraid to address the issue directly. You can say something like, I understand that you may have concerns about my age, but I want to assure you that I have the skills and experience necessary to excel in this position. Wow. Again, who is doing that? As an interviewer, if people ever say anything to me and they're in a protected group, I say nothing.
Yeah.
You could tell me you're pregnant with an elephant.
How's the weather in your city?
Not even nothing. Silent. I mean, I've been on phone interviews where I was like silent and they had to
How's
say
the
something.
weather? Yeah,
Like,
that's
nope.
great.
I had a guy tell me once, and this was when I was a Gilead and I was recruiting a rep for the HIV franchise. And he told me he was gay.
I'm like, really?
I
So
was
you're
like, that is
happy
not
every day? That is
that
wonderful.
right.
I
Yeah.
Uh,
I was like, that is not a prerequisite for the job. I was like,
I wonder
in my
if he felt
head,
that
I'm
way
thinking,
because,
he thought that gave him a leg up. I was like,
yeah,
no,
because the drug,
because it's for HIV.
typically,
Like,
yeah, it's catered towards the LGBTQ
yeah,
community,
I
and
guess he thought
on a
so.
majority, like so.
I told the manager he said that because I thought he was. When people tell me things about protected classes, I feel like it's a setup.
I feel like sometimes people just don't know.
Oh, I feel like they're setting me up.
I feel like sometimes, like there was a company that you and I were working for recently last year,
Hmm.
when one of the managers asked someone that they were interviewing which Asian background they belonged to. Where like, because he was of one Asian background and he
Oh, the
thought,
manager was.
yeah, the manager was Asian.
Oh, I didn't
And
know that.
yeah, and so the manager asked the young lady if she was Korean and he was Chinese.
Uh-huh.
And which is, awkward because there is some tension between those two cultural demographics. And the
Oh.
girl, she thought that he was holding it against her. And so that became a
Oh.
thing because it was like, why are you asking me this? Is it
Yeah,
because
I
you
did
got
not.
beef with my
Right.
background
Oh,
or
wow.
whatever?
I didn't know they
And
had beef, but I didn't know that. I don't know that I knew that the manager was Asian.
hmm
That see, just to goes to show that, yeah, you say Asian, you think, you know,
yeah, no, not at all. There everyone has cultural, rifts. There's cultural rifts all the time. One time, as I was consulting on a cultural panel for uh, CRO, and
mhm,
they're an international CRO, and they were trying to get delegates for this panel, and some of their employees were based in Russia, but there was different sects within Russia that
okay.
have issues with each other, right? And you would think like they're all under, but no, like it was, they don't like persons from that country for whatever long
Mhm.
rift reason or whatever, right? So even if it seems like an innocent conversation, it can look really left to the candid if you ask the wrong question.
Yeah. I'm sure because people don't know. They don't know what they don't know what your
They
intentions
don't
are.
know
Like,
what your intentions are exactly.
why are you doing that? Now this I don't tell people this anymore, but I guess because I'm not on the agency side. I think from the agency side, it's kind of old school. Follow up with a thank you note. After the interview, send a thank you note that highlights your qualifications, express your enthusiasm for the position. This can help reinforce your strengths and show that you're committed to the job. I just think thank you notes, like back in the day, like when I had people interview, I would say, take your thank you notes and sit and write them out, something for each interviewer, and leave it with the front desk. Because, back at Pharma, they always interviewed in hotels. Um, it is, I mean, is obviously they're not handwritten notes anymore because when's the last time somebody's interviewed in person? But emails, managers definitely expect. They're disappointed when they don't get follow up.
Yep.
They don't want too much. There's a fine line.
Yeah, don't stalk.
Yeah,
Don't stalk.
yeah. Don't stalk or heaven forbid. Oh, years ago, this was at Honeywell. A hiring manager was annoyed because a candidate sent them a request on LinkedIn.
Mhm.
I was like, it wasn't a Facebook request. It was LinkedIn.
And I
That's
would think
literally
that
what
would be the place
LinkedIn.
exactly.
That's what it's made for. And I was like, that. She was like, oh, that just unnerves me. I'm like, oh, bless your heart. So, um, let's see. So this just seems like it makes sense, or it's be self-explanatory, like
Mhm.
how employers can avoid ageism. Provide equal opportunities and ensure that all employees have equal opportunities for training, development, and promotion, regardless of their age. Provide flexible work arrangements to support employees at different stages of their lives and careers. Avoid discriminatory language. Avoid using language that implies that certain roles or positions are suitable for younger workers. Use inclusive language in job postings and avoid phrases such as digital natives or energetic. Digital natives?
Natives. But that's new. What
Yeah,
is
that's
what falls under
new.
digital natives?
Is
Learn
that someone
recently.
who's tech savvy? Digital natives. I don't know.
Now we're gonna have to figure out. You know what? No, I got my buddy pulled up right here. I got my chat GTP pulled up.
Oh,
All right, let's go.
yes. I'm
Let's
gonna marry.
ask chat.
I'm gonna marry ChatGPT. We're gonna go study.
Digital
like,
natives.
like, what are digital natives? Is it like three dots, three dots, three dots?
The term digital native refers to a person who has grown up in digital age and has been exposed to technology and digital media from a young age. Digital natives typically considered to be individuals who were born after the widespread adoption of digital technology, particularly the internet and mobile devices. Digital natives are often described as being comfortable with using technology and digital media in their everyday lives. There's
Well,
the contrast of digital native is called a digital immigrant. And that refers to
oh,
individuals who were born before the widespread adoption of digital technology and may have had to adapt to its use later on in life. Interesting.
but that, I mean,
Who says digital native?
yeah,
Oh,
that's
are you a
weird.
digital native?
Yeah,
Like that
I've
does,
never. Yeah, that doesn't.
yo, okay. That feels like a very new interviewer type
But
question.
I obviously I was the internet is new to newish. It's been 30 years since what I mean. I think I started using it at
I
late
mean, I think the entire
90s,
millennial.
AOL,
Yeah.
right? Like
So would Yeah, only Gen X, maybe Gen Z. Gen Z might be the only generation that could be digital natives because
right, because
millennials,
millennials are, yeah.
boomers, like everyone else, they had to be integrated into
And it's
the
probably
digital
harder.
technology.
I think for Gen what are we? We're Gen X. Well, I'm
Mm.
Gen X.
You're
You're
Gen
a
X,
millennial.
millennial.
You're a millennial.
Hmm.
So I think for like for boomers, that was probably because they were full functioning 50-year-olds, or
Yeah,
you know what I mean? They're like, oh, what is
but
this thing?
but boomers also had the first computers though. But that's when the computers were the size of
Yes.
a fucking room,
Yeah, my mother
gigantic and
ran
shit.
those
Yeah,
big
that's
that were
crazy. Like those
I'd
things
go
were
to work with
huge.
her. The rooms were always cold because of the air had to be
Yeah, exactly.
on.
They had to turn the -2 to keep the
And
room
they
cold.
she'd feed these little cards in. Yeah, I
Oh
mean
my
they
gosh.
they took up a whole. It was like whole rooms of just computers.
I remember
So
having floppy disk after that, and that was like the
MS,
craziest.
I
Like, oh
had
my
an MS
god.
DOS. My
Yep,
dad gave me one of his. He brought an old computer from his office. It ran on MS DOS. I was
that's
like,
crazy.
the screen was black, the
The
font was
little
green. I'm
green,
like, what am I
yes.
gonna do with this?
Play
I was
Oregon
just,
Trail
yeah.
on the
I'm like,
computer. Mhm. That's it. That's all you can do. Play Oregon Trail or Pac-Man.
yeah.
The oh my gosh, yeah.
But my father-in-law had like the first cell phone. It was bigger than a
The
brick.
one that had the briefcase with it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, Jason, my husband said he had the first cell phone. So I mean, there's certain things I think that we all like gravitate towards. Like us, like when I remember when Twitter came out, and I was like, uh,
Yeah.
and I'm still like that. I had Snapchat for like a week. I'm
I
like,
remember MySpace.
see, I was never on MySpace.
I remember Facebook. I remember when Facebook came out
Yeah,
because I was in college when Facebook came out,
yeah, I
and
remember Facebook.
it was just
And
for college students
remember,
only, or you had to have
right?
a college email address in
Mhm.
order to get on
Yeah, I didn't
Facebook.
know then. Like I knew once it came to the masses, but remember- and that's a good segue because I have given up social media for Lent, along
Which
with
is
Pride,
interesting considering we're
along with.
on social media
Well,
right
I
now.
don't consider this so like when I this is not a. It's things that are a drag on my time.
Yeah,
Like I spend all day looking at reels, not all day, like the morning
yeah.
and night looking at reels of dogs and cats and bears and
Your animal reels. Yeah.
every animal. I think I always cared for animals,
Hmm.
but since I got Beanie, I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
chickens. I love goats. I'm like, look at that cow. It's so cute. I'm
Well,
getting, I'm
Trish,
getting ready to start being a vet. I think I'm going to really lean into not eating meat.
I feel like we're the same person, just opposite. Because I love goats too,
But
but
you'll eat
to
a
eat
goat.
them.
I
Exactly. And I'm looking at
know.
all these animal videos
And
too,
you
but
guys
mine are
raise goats.
yeah, mine are animal attacks. Like I like watching the animal attack videos or like the animals eating other yo. You know what? Since the one
No, that would
thing
make
that
me
I've
sad.
learned since adopting IG and social media,
Uh-huh.
killer whales are some arrogant assholes who can't be fucked with. They are the most like if you ever go watch killer whale videos, these
I've seen them. I
orcas,
saw them kill a
they
shark. I
they
saw them
play
kill a
with their
great,
food. Yeah, like
but
they
I've seen them kill great whites.
yeah, like
Mhm.
everybody's scared of them. Sharks are scared
Yes.
of killer whales. They
And they
will
look so friendly and
they look at
sweet.
they're like, oh, but I'll kill you. Woohoo.
Dolphins are assholes too.
Yo, they are like, but
Mhm.
it was just amazing how we had this whole Free Willy, movie, and everyone just love
Free
orcas. They think they're so
Willy. I love Free
wonderful,
Willy.
and no, these things are killers. These
Yeah.
things will literally kill you, and will
Yeah.
laugh with each other while doing it. Like
So,
that's the thing.
it's not funny, but it's funny.
They literally laugh and play with their food. Watching them like slap the seals high in
Oh,
the air
that
and back
hurts
and forth.
me. That
Oh my god!
hurts my heart.
Like
I
these
can't watch
seals
that.
are running for the like. I've seen
I
seals like run into
know.
boats and like they are running for the life, and the orcas
Yeah,
are
I
like,
saw Steal jump on the boat. They're like, get out, get out. I'm like, no, you stay right here. Get out of here, whale.
the whale is like, all right, y'all gonna let him off some point in time.
Oh yeah. Or how about if I go under your boat?
And yeah,
Like I
they
could
knocked
take
the
all.
boat.
I
Yeah,
could take all you motherfuckers.
yep. I saw one lady talk about how she was her boat was going through like a pack of orcas, and they kept turning off her engine because they figured out if they get up in their engine and blow their water hole into the engine directly, it shuts off the boat. And every time she turn it on and then do it and turn it off and cut it off, just playing, literally
Oh my
toying with her, just
gosh.
toying with her, just like, yeah, I know, no, stay here for a little
That
while.
is so petty. Oh
Yeah,
yeah, so orcas are like housewives.
yeah, and cats.
They're
Orcas have
petty.
very cat. Yeah, they're
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I wouldn't have thought they would be. Yeah, I don't know if they would be. Well, they're mammals, so but you know what? I stopped eating too because they're so intelligent. Is squid. I won't eat any form of squid
oh.
because
You
they're
know that
very.
pigs are super intelligent too. Are you
Are
gonna stop
they?
eating pork?
I love bacon.
Yeah,
But
pork.
you know what? I have eaten so much bacon. I think
Mhm.
I've eaten my weight's worth, more than my weight of bacon in my lifetime.
That's funny.
I mean, the perfect breakfast used to be for me is a pound of bacon, some orange juice, and a cup of coffee. I don't need toast. I don't need
Yeah,
eggs. I don't need any of that stuff. Just bacon.
my wife was
A-
the same way before she went vegetarian, vegan.
And
Her,
I think I've eaten so much bacon now that I mean, if you fried up some bacon, yes, I would eat 3 or 4 pieces, but I wouldn't hurt myself
yeah,
anymore. I'm
yeah,
like,
no, yeah. Pigs are super intelligent. In fact, and they also have a more sensitive
oh,
nose than dogs. That's why if you
okay, that makes
truffle
sense.
anything, truffle mushrooms are detected by pigs. They don't use dogs to go find
Oh,
them.
they
They
use pigs
they
to
use
find.
pigs, yeah, because they have a much more sensitive nose than dogs.
Have you ever had real truffles? Because I feel like you go to these places and they serve these $20, $30 fries and say they're truffle fries, but are they really?
I've had truffle like toppings on my steak at really high end restaurants, so I
Was
hope
it
those are
good?
real truffle.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
So I
Well, I know. I mean, the truffle on the fries is just truffle oil. I mean,
yeah, yeah, it's not real truffle.
there's truffle oil that Oprah is like her favorite thing, and some people have hot sauce in their bag. She carries truffle oil, so
Of
and
course.
and avocados from her own avocado farm.
Why wouldn't she have an avocado farm?
It's funny. She was on Trevor, on Daily Show a couple years ago, and he does the behind the scenes whenever like talk when the
Mhm.
cameras are shut down, the commercials, and he asked her, "What's something about you like that's like the other people could, like everybody could relate to?" And like he said, "Do you ever run out of toilet paper?" She was like, "No." And it's
No.
always folded down.
Yeah,
Maybe
I
she
got
said, "Oh,
people for that.
he said, does your phone ever die?" She was like, "Absolutely not.
Yeah, you can't let
Her
Oprah's
phone
phone die.
never dies.
I think
My phone dies like 3 times a
I don't
day."
know if it was that interview, but it was another interview where Oprah was like, she can't remember the last time she was actually inside of a grocery store. Like she
I
just
can relate to that because I'm an
yeah,
Instacart. I
yeah.
started with Ship. I started with Webvan back in before the .com crashed, then Shipped, and then Instacart. the grocery store is one of my least favorite places. That and like the dentist's office. I mean,
I
yeah,
like the grocery store
I do
only when
not
I'm
like
on
the
an
grocery store.
edible though. An edible, and it's like the bright lights, all the extra oxygen they pump into the stores to make you stay in there longer. It's like floating around. And
Oh, they pump oxygen in the stores?
yes, like the stores in the mall, they pump in extra oxygen, makes you feel good, and while you're inside there,
It
and makes you shop
does?
longer. Yeah.
It does?
Same
Oxygen
thing.
makes you.
Same thing with casinos. Casinos pumps oxygen into the
Well, they
casino
don't do
floor
a
when you
good
rush.
job because when you're in a casino, when I remember once I was in, I'm not a gambler, but my friends are gamblers and my husband is, and we were in Caesar's Palace, and I went outside and choked on the fresh air. I was like, you don't, because you don't see the smoke, but
Yeah,
it's there and it's
yeah.
getting in your lungs. I went outside, I was like, I'm out here dying. Like, geez.
No, I mean, no
So
smoking in
they
more
pump
casinos.
no smoking. Oh, that shows you last time I've been to Vegas. Jay was a baby,
Yeah,
so that
there's
was
no more smoking in casinos.
2001. Oh, did people stop? Did they stop gambling? Are they not gambling as much then? Because people love to drink and gamble and smoke.
I saw my brother lose $5,000 on a poker table, so people are still gambling. Like,
Oh,
yeah, he
did
went. What's crazy is he went up 3,000
and then
and then
down.
went down five. Yeah, yeah.
That would hurt me. See, if I win, I gotta go.
See,
I
everybody
either
don't have control over it. For
I either
example,
gotta go or at least put away what I
hmm
put back into it, what I spent,
yeah,
and then maybe take half and then play with half.
yeah, play with the winnings. Yeah.
But the old heads at my office when I used to work for US Airways, the first time I went to Vegas, they were like slot machine fiends. They're like, try it 3 times and walk away, but not to the next one. Walk away. So you don't so that if it hits, you don't see it hit and you're upset.
Oh my gosh, can you imagine you walk away and somebody hits right after you? Like,
Oh
we
my,
would have a
they're
problem.
like, nope, go to the
Yeah,
next row.
no,
Like
we would have a
don't
problem.
go within, earshot
There was a
or
story about a
sight.
woman who won like $42 million in a casino, and they tried to just give her steak dinner because they said that the machine was broken.
And what happened?
She sued them.
For how much? 42 million?
Yeah, something like that. $43 million was the amount. Yeah, she was offered a steak dinner after winning $43 million, and the casino says it's because the slot machine malfunctioned. Is what they're saying. It happened in Queens, New York, at the Resorts World
What?
Casino. Yeah.
And so she sued them, and what happened?
Yeah, they only wanted to give her $2.25 in a steak dinner,
Gosh.
and yeah, no, they're still in.
Oh, when
They're
did this
still, yeah, they're still in
happen?
litigation.
Oh,
There's been no. There's been no.
oh, that's terrible. They said it
Yep.
was malfunctioning. Then you should have took it out of commission then if it was malfunctioning.
Eh,
So because it hits, it's malfunctioning. They probably
Maybe because she's a black woman that it's considered malfunctioning
that is
or whatever.
odd.
Yeah. So yeah, she's still in litigation about her $43 million right now.
Oh, I hope she wins. That's sad. Okay, so train managers, train them on how to avoid ageism and promote diverse and inclusive workplaces, encourage them to challenge their own biases and assumptions. I have a good friend of mine. He has a client who likes to hire young reps, and that's what they want. They don't want anybody with any bad habits.
Ah,
So
okay.
they like to hire B2B people,
But they got to
who
be careful
with
how they screen out the older persons.
with not a lot of job. Well, they don't even. Well, I don't even think they. If someone applied, they wouldn't even look at that person. If someone was my
hmm
age or your age or had more than 3 or 4 jobs.
Now, side note, persons, you don't have to list all of your experience on your resumes. So
Thank
if you
you.
have experience going back to the early 90s, you don't have to list
You
that.
do
You
not
can,
have
if a
to.
job says it needs 6 to 10 years
10 years.
experience, you
You
just
go
put
back
10 years worth of
10
experience on
years.
your resume.
Right.
And if they answer only the questions they ask you. Don't
Right.
give any more information than
Right.
you need to. Take the year off your resume that you were graduated high school,
Yep.
or college, and then answer the questions that are asked. That is it,
Exactly.
right? Because there are companies just like Trishad, people who look at your background like, oh, you have too much experience,
Yep.
but you could do this job hands down.
Exactly.
So just keep your last 10 years of experience on your resume,
Yep.
and you go blow the interview out the water.
Yeah, because I know I've fought for people who were older before, and I'm like, this is. I mean, what do people give employers these days anyway? 2 years, 3 years if you're
If
lucky.
that, if
So
that,
who cares? So someone retired once and they want to be here for another 5 years. Take the 5. They'll do a great job. They're going to have fun while they're doing it because they don't have to be here.
right.
Gain the knowledge you can gain from them, and go on about your business. So, let's see. This seems like it's self-explanatory as well. Evaluate performance based on merit. Evaluate employees based on their skills, knowledge, and performance, not their age. Avoid making assumptions about older workers. Again, we talked about this ability to learn or adapt to new technologies or processes. Create a culture of respect. Encourage a culture of respect and appreciation for all employees, regardless of their age. Foster a network of and foster a workplace environment where employees feel valued and appreciated for their contributions, regardless of their age. So yeah. Overall, companies can avoid ageism in the workplace by promoting a culture of diversity, inclusivity, and respect, providing equal opportunities to all employees and challenging biases and assumptions about older workers. I think this is probably tech, like we said,
Yeah,
a lot of
because
tech.
I would think in other industries like pharma, biotech,
Yeah.
like you want somebody that is
Yeah, you
the
want
more experienced
experience.
person
Mhm.
is lauded after, right? Because those persons are
But then, like with my buddy, like when is too much? When is it too much experience? Like he said he felt like it was a Rooney Rule.
mhm.
Like,
I would wonder what his resume looks like. Does he have
oh
all his
man,
experience listed on his resume,
you
or
know,
has he clean? Does he match his resume to the experience that's
well
asked?
but the thing is, they always want him to interview. So he applies, they want him to interview, and then he doesn't, and he did, then he doesn't get it.
But I wonder if he would have better chances if he didn't have all his experience on his
I'm gonna
resume.
ask. That's a good point. I'm gonna ask him for a copy of it.
Yeah, I can imagine. Like, they look at it because we've done it. We've seen some a ton of experience. We fight for it for the hiring manager. Like, look at this
Mhm.
person, and the hiring manager's like, look, this person's great. I'll talk to him, but I think my team is younger, and I'm not sure how they would fit into the culture of the team. Is a phrase that hiring managers love to use at times, and
Yeah,
so
it
take
sounds like
yourself through the fountain of youth through Microsoft Edit, and
right. Shave some years off your life.
exactly, just cut a little bit off. No one has to know.
Have them looking at you like she ain't got no wrinkle. Like I can't. I'm trying to tell.
How old your resume
Oh,
only says you have 10 years
right.
experience, but you
She's an
look like
old
you could
looking
have
40, but yeah.
yeah. Started school late,
Then you start talking about their kids. No, just don't talk about your kids. Like I've got, yeah.
you know.
Uh,
The industry is definitely one that is that fine line where they want experience but not too much, because also the bad corporate side is the more experience you have, the more money they
More
probably
money.
have to pay you.
Mm-hmm.
And so they feel like if we can get talent for cheap, then why
Yep.
not? Kind of like the NFL, they want the young quarterbacks better than the older quarterbacks, because the old quarterbacks you got to pay, like
You gotta
Lamar
pay him.
Jackson right now.
Like
Pay
Lamar
Lamar Jackson,
Jackson.
people.
Pay
Cut him a
pay
check.
Lam, pay Lamar
Pay
Jackson.
Lamar. You know what I'm saying?
Steelers.
Somebody
Dan Rooney. Dan
give him a
Rooney.
guarantee. Give him that man 200 million guaranteed.
Oh
Cut the
well,
check.
Steelers, they'll give you $2. Now
Yeah, Steelers, they cheap.
oh man, they are so cheap. I love them to life, as Leonard says, but they are so cheap. But could they please? But even the Falcons passed. They were like, we're not gonna
But
pursue.
everybody's saying that, but this is the same thing that happened with Deshaun Watson, because Cleveland Browns were one of the first teams to say they weren't interested in Deshaun Watson at all.
Mhm.
But they were the team that gave Deshaun Watson $230 million
I have one of
fully
the Steelers that
guaranteed.
want him too, but goofball. He's a
Yeah,
goofball.
I wish NFL players would get their life together and save up money for a year so they can all kind of protest and get guaranteed contracts
Yes,
because
because they do. 'Cause
there's no reason why NFL players should not have fully guaranteed
there's
contracts.
no reason.
Doesn't
Only
make any
because
sense.
that's because somebody they know somebody will come behind and be like, "Yep, I'll take it." You
Hmm.
say I get hurt, I get nothing. Okay.
Yeah, but that's get hurt and get nothing. Like no one ever talks about how DeMar Hamlin, how like when he got hurt, they quickly swept it under the rug what his contract looked like because people was like, "Oh, he's making $3 million." Then they looked at the breakdown. It was like, "Oh no, he's really only making $140,000 this year
Mhm.
playing in the NFL. Everything else is just like incentives and
Yep.
bonuses or whatnot." And it's like you're putting your life at risk
At
for a
risk.
job that I know recruiters who are making double what you're making. Literally, people are sitting
That
behind
is
a computer making
what
double what you're making to go put your life at risk on the NFL field.
right.
Okay,
We only risk getting a backache and our butt
a
hurting,
little carpal tunnel in the wrist, a
like,
little
"Ugh."
bit. Yeah, it's a
And
little bit.
he's a gladiator. He's a Viking.
It's crazy.
Um, so um my kids are at home. So Jackson, who has the immune system of a gnat, is sick again. He came up from school sick
Uh
yesterday. He is. I can tell he's sick. I need to have a mask on around him. He's sneezing and coughing. Sounds terrible. Ariel went to go see SZA,
oh.
and she is so she's getting ready to leave now, but it's late. She's got tests. So I was like, you gotta go. I was like, you want to go out and hang out with SZA and
Yeah.
and
Middle of the week.
some
Yeah.
in the middle of the week and
Yeah.
Summer Walker, she came and sang a song too.
And little baby.
I'm on the phone, don't talk. Oh, and Little Baby.
Little baby. Okay, not the baby, little baby.
She's yeah.
Little
Which
baby.
one? Little Baby is the clean cut one, right?
Yeah, Lil Baby is the cool one. The Baby is the weirdo who was like going after Meg Thee Stallion and everything. When everybody
Which
thought
one
she was,
has no tattoos? That's
uh
Little Baby,
okay, yeah, Lil Baby.
right? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Lil Baby doesn't have any tattoos.
Okay, yeah, I like him. He because he's about his business.
Mhm.
Um,
Speaking of
okay.
tattoos, you see that Cardi B got a face tattoo? I was like, you've been so marketable. Like you got McDonald's.
Why?
McDonald's is now like got you, and you're gonna go get a face tat. Don't mess up
What?
the money. I remember the stories came out about how Chris Brown's PR people were so mad that he was getting so much tattoos because they're like he was ruining his marketability and whatnot.
Well, I guess he just wanted his body to match his soul or his
Listen, he made
image.
one mistake when he was a teenager.
Oh no.
He made several mistakes in his late teenage, early 20s, but
He was in his 20s.
we have not heard anything about him in at least 7 or 8
Maybe
years.
he's
He's
paying.
turned a new leaf.
No, maybe he's paying.
Maybe he's changed.
Oh, I
People
don't care. He
change.
beat my child.
People change all the
Sure they
time.
do. But you know what? He probably got it honest because his mom seemed like she was a trip.
Mm-hmm.
She got a face tattoo of her son. I'm trying to see the picture.
Yeah, it's just written in red, writing a little cursive on her chin.
Oh, you can't see it there. That's so funny that they're not showing it. They're talking about it, but not. Yeah, that's weird. Oh, I see her. That's weird. I mean, bless her heart. Yeah,
Yeah.
it seems like you would leave the face alone. Like you get the neck, and which would seem
Yeah.
very painful. You got your hands, and which would be
I
painful.
think you do everything that can be covered up with a shirt. So you keep it at the collarbone and down
Yeah.
to your wrist.
Well, I guess she figured she could always cover her face.
Yeah, I guess put makeup on. You could cover
Yeah.
it up. Yeah, that works. I've seen CEOs. They roll up their sleeves. They're tatted up, but you never know it because they keep their sleeves rolled down all the way. So
Yeah, like with
Mhm.
with those sleeve tattoos or stuff like
Yeah.
that. I don't
I
know.
want a full sleeve tattoo. My wife was like, "Yeah, no, that's a no for me." I was like, I'm gonna go back to get my ears pierced again, like how I was in college, because I had both my ears pierced. And she was like, "Yeah, I don't do fuck boy in the 40s."
I've always wanted my nose pierced. Errol's like, go do it.
You
I'm
should go
like,
do it. My wife has her septum pierced, and that's pretty cool. I really like it.
my husband would not like that.
Yes, he would.
No, he wouldn't.
Did he tell you he wouldn't like it?
I know he wouldn't. Uber conservative. He would not like that.
It'd be the conservative ones that got the long streak of like kinkiness in the background, man.
He wouldn't like it.
You come home with a septum ring, you might
I
have
wouldn't.
another.
I wouldn't like that. I just would like a little diamond stud. But Errol's like, if you don't like it, you just take it out. I'm like,
Pretty much.
My niece has one. It's cute. It's super cute. But
We need to do another. We're going to do another show and talk about being married and what is the fine line between conforming for your spouse and being an individual. You know, like where is that line at? Like, where is it? Like, you know what? I'm gonna do this for you, but then you're like, fuck. What about me? Like, I want to do this for myself, though. You know, there has to be.
That could be a good topic for the person I said.
We do have a special guest coming, people.
We do.
And you know what? That may be the topic we speak on when she is here.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I've gone down an internet rabbit hole in the last week. I told you.
Mm-hmm.
So before I was born, my uncle, he was a teenager. He got his girlfriend pregnant. They were 17 and both, high school sweethearts, but like bright careers in front of them. And her parents were very disappointed. And I don't know if her parents kept them apart, but basically they weren't in the kids. He wasn't in the kid's life and my grandparents weren't in the kid's life. They grew up in the same town. And so I had heard about, cause I'm a few years older than the kid. Like I'm like 4, maybe I was 4. So I knew about him. And then my grandfather's, oh, that's so-and-so's house. And I always thought, that is so bizarre. Well, last night I went to find him. And I was like, my mother's like, what are you doing? Go to bed. I'm like, who does this look like? Send him pictures. And I was like, and the crazy part is that we went to the same college. Like I went to IUP, which is Indiana University of Pennsylvania for a year. And he went there after me. Isn't that crazy? So I was like, hey, to one of my girlfriends, like, hey, do you know this guy? And she's like, yeah, I know the name. And so then she's like, are you going to reach out to him? I'm like, what do I reach out and say? Like, I mean, how does that come?
We're people.
Yeah, but that's weird because if he has siblings that live in the same city that he wasn't raised with, you know what I mean, who are much younger than him. And if he doesn't have a relationship with them, why would he want to have one with me? And I don't know. Anyway, I got to stay off the internet.
Maybe he didn't know.
He knows. Yeah. And how this all started was I couldn't remember my grandfather's mother's name because I was going through a photo album the other day. I can remember. She died a million years ago. Mm-hmm. I was like, what was her name? And so I went to my grandfather's obituary, but now these newfangled ones, they don't talk about who preceded you in death.
Yeah.
So it wasn't there. So I said, well, let me go. And then so I went to my uncle's because my uncle passed away in 2008. He had multiple sclerosis, and he's the father. And I also went to his, and I saw that he had his all 3 kids, and I was like, oh snap, he's got a son down here. So then I went down a rabbit hole to find him and found him, and yeah. And he's this dude who works at a bike, like he's a fitness guy, like outdoorsy. So he works at a bicycle.
So your husband they may have your husband and him ever cross paths?
No. My husband's from St. Louis.
I'm talking about in the biking stores down there.
No, he's in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
He's in Pittsburgh. But at one point he lived in Ithaca. But he's like a national sales director for this bicycle or biking company or whatever. So yeah, and his mom never had any more kids. So she had a kid at 17 and never had another one.
Shit, kids will do that to you. Yeah, if my first kid was like my second kid, I would not have other kids. Like it was.
You know what?
Shit. If my number 2 was my number 1, it would be a one child.
But see, your number 2 is the way that he acts because he can.
Yeah, because number 1 is so.
Because number 1, yeah. because number one, because my number two, yeah, Marcha.
Number two.
He literally everything. I say, hey Jackson, could you sign yourself up for? You wouldn't make Jay do that. I'm like, I'm not telling you to walk the plank. I'm just saying go online and register yourself for
Please.
driving lessons so that I can go buy you a car and you can drive. Like I'm a
Why are you
terrible.
worried about what
I'm
my
terrible. Oh, Errol texted me something yesterday. Some on her way to the concert, telling me how if it was Jackson, I'm
young
like,
lady, you are on your way to the concert?